bit skew, maybe we can adjust.
Maybe a little bit skew.
A little bit.
It doesn't have the assisted grid. Anyone watching, can you hear us? How's the sound? Doesn't have the assisted grid. Anyone watching, can you hear us? Okay, let's move down.
Apparently there's a delay.
Yeah, there will be. I mean, it's bouncing through there to wherever satellites, through the satellite, just to travel
bounce.
1 meter across.
Round the planet about 15 times.
Let's see, we've got 7 people online, 4 people online. Hey, and a couple of likes. We'll start in a minute or two. We did start early. It's a bit of a sound check. Analytics. It's open analytics.
And no echo.
No echo.
No echo.
As much as I hate iPhone, this has got better sound. Hey, oh. There we go. Hi, hello Germany. So good to have you. And we have someone from Sweden
Guten
already.
Tag. Hello.
Yes, Guten Tag. And now from Stefan in Sweden. Good evening. Hi, Ashwin, where are you from?
Good evening.
Daniel, of course. Daniel Erart's never met Mr.
Hello, Daniel.
Livestream. I know, all of us looking at the
Yeah, we're meant to be looking at you, so sorry. How's it?
Hi, Sri Lanka. Welcome.
Oh, nice.
And from India. Guten Tag, my. Buongiorno. Welcome. With our broken smattering of international languages.
My language.
I don't know how to greet in Swedish. It's one of the hardest languages
but
in the world.
I know the Italians do this a lot.
See, that's like the gesturing.
Yeah. He says Italians is language.
Yeah.
It's like good talk, maybe, but that's more
We mustn't do
Norwegian.
that.
Huh?
We must just remember Stefan's first question before it disappears, because that was the first question in, and it's the first one we'll answer.
Yeah.
7 people online. Should we just start and?
I think we should. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to the Goju Karate Center. Today we have Sensei Miguel Harker from Dynamic Karate in Port Elizabeth, and Sensei Zoe, who's usually behind the scenes, and then me.
And Sensei Jagger. And we have imported a beach bum all the way, real karate bum.
Okay, so in terms of our kind of COVID status, we're all vaccinated, we've all been kind of sorted out in terms of that. So
recently tested.
Recently tested in our case. We have a sick child, so we all went for testing. So we're all A-okay. So therefore, no masks. We're kind of sitting close together, and we'll be basically in the same house living together for the next couple of days while Sensei Miguel is staying here and training. Welcome.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, guys. And it's nice to be on this side of the screen, because normally on Fridays at 2 o'clock sharp, I stop working and my boss is going to be upset. And I wait for this video.
Sometimes 15-20 minutes, I can give you that break. So we're going to launch into question number 1 from Stefan.
Hold on. We've got big announcements first. We hit 5,000 subscribers today. So we're very, very stoked, all of you who've subscribed. Thank you very much. That means a lot to us. Okay, first question from Stefan in Sweden.
I'm just going to scroll back up.
We are Goju practitioners. We're practicing mainly on the OGKK syllabus. So 2 variation of Sanshin, Gekisai, Gekisai, Cypher, Seiunshin, and so on, all the way up to Super Rumpe. Auxiliary kata that we include in our system will be Naihanchi from time to time. Fugu Gata is taught by Sensei Terio Chinen, and then a version of of Gekisai with open hands, which we call Gekisai Dai Sun. And I know 2 people who both claim to be the so-called derivers of the kata. That would be Sensei Arnold de Beer from the International Shorin Martial Arts Academy, and the late Sensei Bram Pierns, who I spent a lot of time with. Needless to say, that's pretty much a fair chunk of what we do in terms of our karate. We teach kata as textbooks, and then in terms of kobudo, we play a little bit with nunchaku and a little bit with bo, but have no formal links to any of the major systems such as Yamani, Chinen Ryu, Mataoshi Ryu, or Ryukyu Kobudo. That might be something that becomes part of our pipe dream going forward. I think that karate without Kobudo, in a very traditional and classical sense, is missing something, and it's important to have a blend of both. And in the same breath, karate without groundwork and grappling and takedowns and wrestling is missing something. So it needs to be all encompassing, and the kata basically is the textbook that holds all the answers to all these questions. This is how we've kind of been raised, and we've been filtering information from a lot of famous senseis. I hope that answers your question.
You have enough Kobudo equipment, and like the screen could just, they have more equipment than I have a dojo.
It's like a dojo version of MTN, what's this thing, MTV Cribs? Sorry, it's a mess, but here's our Kobudo section. So, we even have Iku, we have an O, and we have Kama, which the kids are scared of, but they all want to play with. We've got some lovely questions coming in. Thank you so much. We're answering them in the order we get them. I am putting them into a sticky note as we go. A little bit back.
There we go. Cool. Right.
Okay.
And we might be a little bit skewed. I'm going to just come in.
Adjust.
We're just trying to adjust the...
Before COVID, none of us knew how to figure this stuff out.
All right. So that's hopefully...
Okay, so the next question we have is from Salvatore. How's it? I have heard a story regarding O-sensei Chojo Miyagi. He considered to introduce Naihanchi in his curriculum of Goju. Is it true?
Okay, so from what we've been told about Naihanchi or Nai Funshin kata, Miyagi Choshin sensei definitely practiced this kata. And it has been rumored to be being practiced in a couple of the big mainstream dojos, but I think at a certain point after his death, when they consolidated the curriculum for Goju and they got down to that final like kind of 12 kata, I think it was dropped. And I think, you know, some people have kept it in the pipeline somewhere. I was very lucky. I spent a fair amount of time training with Sensei Chinin, and Sensei Chinin on one particular gashku said, all right, we're going to learn Naihanchi, family kata of my grandfather and my family in Okinawa who practiced Shurin, Ryu, and so we learned Naihanchi, and later on with Sensei Ronnie Kluger we practiced Nai Funshin. I think it's a really cool kata because it breaches the gap between some schools and some styles and allows us to have an interconnectivity which allows us to work together. So I'm not really like caught up on whether or not it was or wasn't part of the syllabus, but the fact is it's there, and if we all practice it, we've got this thing where we can connect together and we can, you know, share ideas, because that's far more important. In fact, Naihanchi, Teki, Nai Funshin is where we started our conversation about a decade and a bit ago. So,
Karate should be about friendship, not about fighting between styles.
Okay, so I'm not a historian, so I can't actually say yes or no. So in terms of the historical accuracy, I think we'd have to ask a karate historian.
Historically, though, they all trained together. So they did train things together.
All right.
So next question, I'll take this one because we've been seeing lots of comments from, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, from Nihal, from our friend who's been commenting every day after practicing on our videos, which we see, and thank you so much. The engagement really, really helps us. What should you do after Gekisai Daini? Cipher. Cipher is a wonderful kata, but don't rush. Spend a lot of time on each kata. We only normally introduce Cipher in year 2 or 3. Yeah. It takes a long time because Cipher is actually quite a big jump in terms of demands on directions, diagonals, introducing complicated moves. So don't rush right into Cipher.
A good guideline would be approximately, think about it, if you're training like a child learning at school, 1 year per kata for a start, for the first 3 or 4 kata, so that you build a solid base. Along the way, the only kata that you may want to introduce to facilitate everything is Sanchin, and then later on, after maybe that 3rd or 4th year, maybe you start looking at Tensho kata. Especially if you are not able to engage with somebody and to have constant correction. So
my answer to what do you do after Gekisai ni is Sanchin.
Actually,
After
Sanshin's
everything
not
is Sanshin.
Sanshin is the foundation. First and last kata.
Yeah. So you were saying like you were trying to fit it in, and then after everything is Sanshin.
Yeah.
You're
going to do it until it's the last kata you'll ever do. So lovely question from Thomas King. How's it, friend? Thomas actually helped me set up this YouTube channel. His support has been fundamental to our success. When I was like, I'm so scared, start a YouTube channel. So thank you, friend. We are grateful. I think you were subscriber number 1 as well. His question is, blue sky question, and congrats on 5,000 subscribers. Where would you like to see South African karate in 5 years' time? It's a beautiful question.
Okay, so, I think the problem with the question like that, Thomas, is that there's a lot of complications in karate in South Africa. And there are a lot of little facets and little sections. It's like having a different paradigm view of the same content, and everybody's got their view and they're sticking to it, and nobody will see anything else. I think if at the end of the next 5 years people start realizing that it's okay to see the sports side as well as the traditional side, as well as the applied side, I think if people can be tolerant of one another, I think that will probably be the greatest movement forward in terms of where South African karate should be looking to go in the next 5 years. There's enough in-house fighting on the sports forums that it becomes a very distasteful place to be as an instructor. And if it's distasteful for you as an instructor, what is it going to do for your members? Because the most important people in my world, believe it or not, are not the South African karate community. They are my dojo, my family, my students, my friends who train with me. What happens within the 4 walls of my dojo is the most important thing, because this pays the bills.
Absolutely.
I have to manage this place, and this is what I can manage. But I can only hope that by putting everything out and continuously putting everything out to the community at large, I think that we can maybe get to the point where people aren't afraid to share information, are willing to accept a certain amount of critique in what they're doing. That's the hard part, because nobody likes to be criticized. And that we can move forward, and that there's a certain amount of tolerance, and hopefully then something interesting will occur in South African karate.
For me personally, in 5 years' time, I'd like to see more female instructors taking positions of power in the instructors. I'm tired of us carrying the oranges and being administrators. We're more than just administrators. And
You're the greatest administrator in the
I am
dojo.
the greatest administrator, but I want more than...
I don't be funny, we're going to do it behind the scenes, I don't know when, but this one is super amazing.
I know, I'm a hot mess sometimes. But for me, I would like to see some kind of tackling of grassroots karate, bringing up more female instructors, and especially female instructors of color.
Yes.
Okay, it's pretty much an all-white club at this, and it's ridiculous. I would like to see many more black female instructors. That's more than 5 years. That's a 15-year plan. And quickly, Migs, the questions are pouring in. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. More female instructors, more in the development zone, and it's a responsibility to everyone who can to do that. So it's no good saying we want it and that's what we're looking for. That now becomes our responsibility. It's something we have to do. And 5 years, I don't know so much, but forever is my goal. I try not to say 5 years. If I say 5 years and I fail or get it before, I will be wrong. I don't like being wrong. So I just make it a daily thing, fix one day at a time. Tomorrow, repeat that process. Next day, repeat that process.
Right. Next question from Ashwin. Sir and ma'am, when will you start Kumite training sessions for beginners and well-practiced persons? That's a good question. Kumite, like via Zoom, it's not really something we've got planned. Shay's the Kumite specialist. Me, I like randori, and that's what I'm sort of good at.
So, I think in the dojo, Kumite training is something that you need to have a certain basic level, and you can, maybe after 6 or 8 months of training, you can start learning to play tag. Touches, and you build from there, and it's part of how you go from white belt to black belt, especially in a sport environment and in a dojo that is very, very sports orientated. You develop this over time. because there's a different mentality and a different set of guidelines, a different set of rules that dictate what you're doing. So when you say Kumite, I'm thinking maybe Shiai Kumite, WFK style Kumite, or WUKF, Shoba Ippon, Shoba Sambon style Kumite. That can be built as tag over time. Other Kumites you will also develop at the same time, and it's just part of the system. So the most systematic approach is the best. And I'm probably sounding very much like Sensei Ronnie Kluger in how I say it, because systematic approach is the best way to develop these things.
He's watching.
I don't think he's watching.
But that way you can develop your Kumite in whichever facet of Kumite you want. Even grappling starts with Chinese wrestling, and Chinese wrestling evolves into full-out grappling, and Randori can develop into grappling, into full contact fighting, or into semi-contact fighting. In terms of, maybe I'm reading something in the question, beginners training with advanced students, it shouldn't be a problem. It's all a question of control. An advanced student doesn't need to prove, if there is no ego, does not need to prove anything. And all they can do then is they can be the greatest mentor and help those youngsters. My greatest thrills in life were doing Kumite with my sensei, to be quite honest. And I'm most grateful for the very hard Kumite I got to practice with Sensei Paul Andre, or with Sensei Aubrey Pedersen as a kid growing up, because it helped build my confidence. And that made a huge difference. And then I had a great circle of friends in the dojo, and we all grew up together, and our Kumite grew out of that. And some of those friendships through blood, nose, split lips, you know, Sensei Mario Sakura at Palm Court Karate still speaks to me on a regular basis. So
I've been knocked out in this dojo. I've lost half a tooth. Like, and we still mates. Kumite is good. Sorry, and I can see who's asking. He's actually one of the members from Pretoria.
Yeah.
Our dojo, we start striking from the beginning, but we don't let them fight each other. We do pad work, bag work, that type of thing. So they're delivering all the time and getting an answer. And when they get hit by something that we hold in that won't hurt them. So Kumite for the Karate Jitsu Dojo Society is from day one. Kata is from day two. But that's just how we do it.
First the Murmaka.
Yeah.
We have a lovely question from Chris van Vuren, another South African. Hello. Teaching question. What can be a way to help people take in class? I see a lot of people glaze over nowadays with everything going on currently, so they put themselves on autopilot. I love this question. Let's start with the person who's been teaching karate for 20 odd years.
Variety. Yeah. Move away from the set formula of Chris, you're a Shotokan guy, I think, so KKK, move away from it. Break it up a little bit, hash it up, and bring something new into the class. Let everybody come in, set up scenarios. Somebody's got a self-defense from behind a desk, self-defense from inside the doorway. Change the class, switch the lights off, let them train in the dark. Do anything that will change the way people feel when they get to the dojo. And again, this comes back to stuff that I was really drilled hard on by Sensei Ronnie. No two classes should be identical, and every class should be prepared. And if the classes are well prepared, then you'll be able to keep everybody with excitement when they come to karate. They want to come because they want to know what else you can show them.
Yeah, they don't want to miss it.
Yeah, they don't want to miss a class.
You want them to develop FOMO for the dojo.
Yeah.
And one of the other things is, one of the things we've kind of inherited from the Okinawans and Japanese, that everything must be deadly serious all the time. But a dojo without laughter is a dead dojo. With the kids, I sometimes just put on music and I make them do 2,000 rounds of chishi. And they're sweating and they're happy, and we need to build those endorphins. And you're right, everyone is extremely overwhelmed. We've got pandemic fatigue, we've got economic worries. So anything you can do to make the dojo a breakaway from all of that, and let your passion shine through. Don't be... I hate that it's been co-opted, the term karate nerd, so we're just karate dweebs now.
I was the first to hashtag
You're
that.
so yeah. But always come, if you come to it with love, and if you're losing the faith, and it happens with instructors, you also hit a plateau and you're tired. When all else fails, return to the right books, read the Bubishi.
At least once a year.
At least once a year, the way of
At least
kata.
once a year.
But remember, you can't go wrong with a very strong, vigorous warm-up, and that sets the tone and it brings the energy for the rest of the class. You mixed?
I
more questions
for
coming.
the juniors, when I say juniors, kids, I like to play a lot, so challenges, and I'll challenge them. And my assistant Dwayne Sensei, who should be arriving now, he's fantastic with the kids, because sometimes we don't know who the kids are when he takes the class. So you get so involved into their level. We almost don't want to teach. Well, in my dojo, I almost don't want to teach kids. I want to lead kids and have fun with them and join and play with them. And they most of the times don't even realize that they're working hard. As for the adults, to get them over that glazed look, Chris, you know me personally, but now I'm going to answer to the other people. Choke the people out, knock them out, hurt them. They will come back with wide open eyes and realize they weren't as good as they were. And that's an ego thing. You can choose to step down and try and protect yourself, or you can try and get better. I'm probably the worst marketer for my dojo because of stuff like that, but the guys who make it, you know.
All right, next question.
Next question.
Hold on, we're pulling up the stickies.
Sticky notes. There we go. Let's go back up.
Did you not?
By accident. Okay, that one wasn't in right order. The next question in order, and this is a lovely one from Daniel. Did one of you have a longer period without an actual direct teacher or dojo? If yes, how did you manage to keep up your training despite the situation? So when were you a Ronin at any? Are you the king of Ronins?
Yeah, there's the Ronin.
That's me. Yeah, I am at a time. I mean, I've been doing karate since I'm a kid. So there was a time for 6 months I didn't do any karate besides myself on the beach. I then went to join the Goju dojo for a year since Shian Clayton Tom, he was sensei at the time. And trained undercover with him for a year, and thereafter another year with nobody, just trained by myself. And then obviously started getting back to visiting dojos, and I visited a mate called Chris Bright doing MMA and got beaten. When I say I got beaten, I got smashed, and that sort of fast forward my direction and where I am today. So how did I keep up with it? I'm never satisfied with myself. So if I do a kata, and if I say I feel good, I'm lying. I will, for instance, before class always train, especially Sanshin and Naihanchi kata, and if I get one breath correct, whether it's the in or the out, I immediately finish that kata, get on my phone, get hold of Sensei Jagger and go, you never guess what, I got that one breath right. Why? Because I'm my biggest critic. And that's literally why, and in totality, if I have to say, I haven't had a direct instructor since 2009. Yeah, so it's been me and myself.
I think what's kept me busy was the fact that I've always had a dojo, and so it became more important to just, during times where we didn't have direct lineage or linkage, especially into Japan, and in my case, we would then just carry on with what we saw as the right road, because people still need to progress, they still need to grade, still need to move forward. So we drove their content and their stuff. Luckily at that point in time, I was also involved in a lot of competitive karate. So for me, it was practicing for competition and doing a lot of competitive karate. I was a lot younger, so it was a lot easier. But now, I'm spend more time being a father.
No, that's true. He looks after Hunter, so I can teach. He's a great dad.
It wasn't easy.
No.
Don't lie.
I've had an uninterrupted teaching for 16 years now, and somehow I've always stayed under a Miyazato line, either Jundokan International or GKK. Okay, the next question after that is from William Young, and Stefan asked the same question. Which kata is the favorite of each of you, and which one do you feel is the most useful in real life?
Stop it, Zoe.
Yeah.
Youngest in
I'm
bounds.
the youngest. Okay. My favorite kata is Shishoshin. It's also my lucky kata, because it's the only time I ever tried a traditional tournament. I came third in Okinawa, so I was very proud of myself.
That's huge, by the way.
I was so proud I made first round, because I was always the one who sucked at tournament. Which one do I think is most effective in real life? Honestly, Gekisai. Because someone about 5-6 years ago, some idiots tried to take my phone off me when I was running, and what came to mind? Straightforward migraine, push through the stomach, and he ran away. So the thing you do 1,000 times is the kata that's the most effective. So for me, I'd say Gekisai.
My favorite kata. I'm originally a Shotokan guy, but I do a Okinawan version of it, Nijishi. That has always been my long term, but if you're talking effect, and Sanshin, obviously, for the last, what's it been, 2012, last 9 years I've been doing Goju and Uchiru and everything in between. And Sanshin's, I do Sanshin every day. However, my effective karate is plain and simple Naihanchi. You can build a whole system on Naihanchi. And I got told that when I was young. I was like 3rd dan or something, and someone told me this. I was like, that guy's crazy. He has no idea what he's talking about. If I could go back to my younger version and just listen to what that guy has to say, because that kata is so deep. Every day. I today had conversation with Jagger-Sensei about that application. I always start with the question, hey, what is your application? Yes, and I was like, check what I found out. And he's like, but it's not like I knew it forever. We figured it out, like recently, the other day. So, so Naihanchi to me is never ending. Yeah.
Treasure trove.
So my favorite kata, probably Seppai. I think it's one of the most beautiful kata. I think one of my teachers always wanted me to do more kurumfa, but I really like Seppai a lot. And then in terms of self-defense and practical application, I'm kind of caught between the two, because my upbringing is extensively Gekisai Daiichi, Gekisai Daini, and a little bit of Fuku Kata Daiichi, but the Naifunchen and Naihanchi, the variety and the versatility of the kata, and the fact that the sequence is so short and so compact and so much in one little textbook, and it's just so amazing. I'd probably say Naihanchi, Naifunchen as a really good place to explore and spend a lot of time working and testing yourself in different scenarios, different avenues. It's got everything. Every kata's got everything, but that kata, I think, is just got everything.
Maybe one day I'll understand when they say all the answers are in Sunshine. One day is one day.
They say, and Paul Enfield Sensei was a part of this conversation, I couldn't remember who the other person was, is when you do Sunshine and you fall sideways, you land in Naihanchi.
That's so deep. That's wise. Next question, Brian Smith. Yes, Deshi, thank you for looking after Hunter so that he doesn't rampage into YouTube and we get demonetized. How did Sensei Jagger and Sensei Miguel meet each other? Friendship.
It was a love story. No. It was 2000. I'd seen him before. And I'd seen the guy, but in 2006 I was involved with our sporting federation. I was on the working committee, and he was a part of the Protea team. And he was a player. He was a player. There we go. And a good one at that as well. And he had some youngsters that I used to enjoy watching, actually. 2 brothers specifically, and another mate of theirs. And I gave them nicknames immediately and started coming to train during their classes. I thought, well, you know what, if they're good, let's see what they've got. And I used to drive every weekend, twice a weekend, 70 kilometers each direction just to get beaten up. And it was great fun. And I think that's why we're still mates.
Yeah,
that's literally, I don't know if you want to add in. I know I managed him for some of the tours, when he went to Worlds and stuff like that.
That I didn't know about.
Yeah, all the started in Japan.
Started with the National Federation and national teams, and all the people who were in the national teams who were involved in like Finland and Japan, a couple of other tours. Miguel was very involved in behind the scenes, and so and we had a friendship that grew, and training, lots of training, sometimes 3 times Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday sometimes.
Yep.
And friendship grew out of that, and then questions beyond tournament, beyond the game. around kata.
Lovely question.
Sorry, one
No.
more. I proposed to my wife on this guy's stoop. Actually, I didn't propose. I told her we're getting married, and that was the end of it. So that's the type of relationship.
So from Taco Bella, who's also MK in our dojo. MK, we miss you. Come train. I know it's exams. I know it's tough, but we miss you. If you had to teach only one kata for the rest of your life, what would you teach and why? I think it comes back a little bit to what we said earlier, but which one can you spend the next 40 years has got enough depth?
40 years.
Well, I mean, you hope you're going to teach for another 40 years.
I'm old.
Yeah, but the first day Miyagi didn't come to training is when he died.
Yeah.
But he also only made it to 60-something.
And
Shiba Sensei was 84 when he died.
I would always stick again to Naihanchi. However, there's and I don't know how to pronounce it, since they went Morris's group and Don came, there's a guy, Johannes Rigal or something like that. He only does Pasai. His whole system is based on Pasai boxing. And can I tell you something? When he puts out something, I'm like, how did he do that? How in heaven's name did he come to that? So I know people make literally systems based on a single kata. So, but I will always stick to Naihanchi.
Old-fashioned way of doing things.
Yeah.
So, if we go back in time and we listen to some of the urban legends or stories about how karate was a long time ago, within the Goju system, chances would be that you would do Sanchin kata. Gekisai and Gekisai were only new inventions.
Yeah,
Jensho was in development and was being worked. So as a student for Miyagi Chojin Sensei, maybe you would start with Sanchin kata and do a lot of Sanchin kata, and then based on your stature, your personality, your ability, maybe another kata would be chosen. And you would then learn the Sanchin kata and one other kata. And then as time expanded, people started to learn one more kata to augment, to help strengthen what you already had. So I think in this modern age, what we find is that everybody wants to learn all the kata very, very quickly. And everybody seems to think, well, we need to get them done in a particular order and they must be done as fast as possible. And as soon as I know, in Goju's case, all 12 kata plus a few supplementary kata, I know it all and then I can be my own boss. And then you get...
I can have a dojo as a shodan.
And then you maybe give it a decade later and that person is no longer around. So I was fortunate in that I was shown a lot of kata early on and I was allowed to develop over a period of time. And I knew a lot of the katas early, but there are only a handful of people left from my time in this dojo growing up as a child. Myself, Sensei Mario, Kenneth Went in the United Kingdom, Ian Miller, who pops in every now and then and trains a little bit on the back of the mat. There are only a handful of us from the very, very early guys who practiced in this dojo when it was in the Scout Hall or in the shopping centre at Kilburn or somewhere.
But that tracks with the 95% attrition rate.
Yeah. So to train for the rest of your life, the reason we introduced diversity of kata and variety of kata is to try and keep things entertaining, which brings us back to a question earlier on from Chris. How do you keep people entertained? On numerous occasions, people come into class, and today is, guess what? Today is one of two classes. I need to train, you sit and watch, and that's your class. Or today you need to learn to use your eyes and the mirrors, and you learn to copy, and we do copy kata, and we run through all the copy kata. I don't care if you're white belt learning Seppai or Super Rumpe, because in that 1 hour period, you're not going to learn the kata. All we're going to do is plant a seed, and hopefully over time we'll water that seed and it'll grow.
I do think there is a benefit to learning certain katas, obviously not Super Rinpei right off the bat, but it takes a long time to get the basics down of a kata. So the idea is the sooner you start learning it, by the time grading comes. This is the logic behind teaching Super Rinpei to me when I was a shodan, but I was going through the Deshi program because it would just take that long to get. So by the time I got to 6th, 7th Dan one day, I wasn't learning it for the first time. But if I had to teach a kata for the rest of my life, it would be Tensho. because I think Tencho is the most beautiful kata.
Wow,
It's an exquisite kata. It really is.
I spent the whole lot when I visited.
Revolutionary.
That's all I did the last years. Denjo.
We'll definitely do some tomorrow. And, the next question from Stefan: top 3 books. We want to start a war here, Stefan.
Yeah. Hang on,
Wait,
I know. The Babishi.
Oh yeah, Babishi, obvious.
Definitely,
Number
Babishi.
1. Latest, try get multiple editions if you can. The latest one is great. It's got more on the possible history or origin of the Babishi. That my favorite origin story is that it was a student of Feng Zhuan. That is maybe it's her Deshi's book. I like that theory the most. It's got some credence. Book number 2, Way of Kata, Kane and Wilder, for me. There's a lot of contestants for number 3. The Way by David Lowry.
Okay.
I know you don't like him because he talked smack about speech and then,
Something like that, yeah. Aruma.
Even, no. Jishin Funakoshi's My Life, number 3. That's
I borrowed that to him in 2008. He gave it back though and bought his own.
Yeah. So, Mix, your top 3 books?
I am. I enjoyed that. Which one?
Chojin.
She's got 4.
I've got 40. That's why Stefan, you started the war.
She's going to be fighting with herself for a while. Okay.
Karate books. I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to that. I think. What was the first one? Babishi. Number one. Without a doubt, it's first foremost.
You're not a serious martial artist without it.
Yeah, the other is the 20 Precepts by Gijin that was translated by somebody and approved by him. And that book I read often. And it's short, and it's a good way to check myself before I wreck myself. It's about the 20 precepts, but when you read the line, you think you know it until you read what's behind the line. You're like, I never understood a damn word of that precept. Number 3, I actually, karate-wise, I'll step away from now because I don't have a third karate book. I do, however, recommend, and I'm going to poach this YouTube for someone else. James Smith, Not a Life Coach. If you go read that, it will change. It's changed my life. I'm reading it like it has changed my life in the fastest and the best way possible.
James Smith, Not a Life Coach.
Not a life coach. Yeah.
I'll write that down.
So yeah, that's fantastic. Other than that, no.
From a Goju point of view, irrespective of where your routing is, probably one of the better books, just because of the vast amount of information held within the book. Mario Higawana Sensei's Okinawan, traditional Okinawan karate, first edition, or volume 1. Just to get started, I remember when they were for sale in South Africa for 20 Rand. Today, you're lucky if you can find one for secondhand for 1,000 Rand. It's upward of 1,000 Rand.
I saw $1,000 for a secondhand.
I think that is probably one of the best books in terms of the routing of the karate that I do. The 1973 Miyazato Sensei guidebook for Goju karate. Again, a technical guideline on what is supposed to be done within our system or within our framework, being from his lineage. And the reason I bring up the original 1973 is because the photos are of Miyazato Sensei at that time. The re-released book that would have been done in the 2000s, I have a copy of that, Jundokan book, and that has got more of the current instructors or some of the instructors who were current at that time. Some of them have subsequently relocated to form their own little branches or little federations. So that would be my second book from a technical Goju point of view. And then in terms of getting to know yourself and getting to know your karate and getting to delve into bunkai and things, obviously Bubishi. It's the one book that every deshi is required to read when they come and do deshi program. And we suggest reading at the beginning of the program, at 6 months and at a year, so you read it 3 times in 1 year. because you don't get it all in the first time, and then every year, give or take, I read it again and I page through it, and I think we have currently 3 or 4 different editions, because there's different segments of information that occur in them, some upgrades, and some books have sections that have been kind of phased out. But yeah, we're eternally grateful to McCarthy Sensei for that.
Absolutely. It'd be cool to hang out with Sensei McCarthy.
Yes.
Which is smaller channel.
We have to go to Okinawa, and James, who used to own the dojo bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they running. That'll be great.
Oh, really?
Okinawa, I'm coming
Okinawa,
for you.
August
I'm coming for
2022.
you.
2022.
Again from MK, and this is a really lovely question. What advice about karate do you wish you could have told your beginner self that would make things easier for yourself now? One line I keep telling everyone, karate is long, life is short. You have the rest of your life to be good at karate. There's no pressure to be good at it now.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Karate is long, life is short. It's a paraphrasing of there's the Latin phrase, ars breva, vita, whatever. I'm trying to be pretentious. Art is long, life is short, but it's the same as karate. When you think about it, why do you have to know Gekisai Daini in 6 months? You can train, if you train karate correctly, there's no reason to stop. You know, you don't have a career or a lifespan.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wish if I could go back and just tell my beginner self, hey, stop crying, you will learn the kata eventually. If my senpai Jonathan is watching this, thank you for not giving up on me when I wanted to quit when I saw Gekisai. And yet I'm still here. So, yeah. I think I just told myself, you will get there. Oh, that's a big chat bubble. I'm going to read it now. That's from me. Karate is long, life is short. You'll get there eventually.
It's because of obviously all my involvement and everything I've had the background for. It's train first, talk later. And ironically, it's still one of our mottos. Anybody who knows me knows we're not going to have a meeting until we've hit each other. And once we've hit each other, then we'll understand each other clearly, and then the conversation is way easier.
I think I don't think there's anything I could have told myself now that I know to my younger self that would have made me think it. I think it's a journey. But what I would tell a lot of people is that the hardest part about karate is that you have to be patient. Karate is very much about patience and about practice. So the 3 P's: patience, perseverance, and practice. That's it.
Yeah.
I'd rather say to you, have the 3 P's, develop those, and you're putting one foot in the right direction. Karate is a metaphor for life, and there are no instances in the dojo where it's just going to be plain sailing, because life's not plain sailing. And so you have to go through all those ups and downs, and you have to learn to deal with them physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that makes a big difference to who you are as a person. And as you grow, because obviously I started karate as a kid, so I grew in a dojo.
I'm the anomaly. I only started at 19.
So did most Japanese when they went to university.
Yeah, a lot of and I came out of a university dojo, so there's a lot to be said for, you don't have to, we need to get away from this, you need to start at 5 to be good at something. It's, the kids who start at 5 statistically are going to drop out.
100%.
The later you start, the more discipline you have, and you're better at loving the grind. You know, one of my favorite magicians, you know, Penn and Teller says, I love the work you don't see. And what they do to look effortless, and what we do, everyone's like, wow, karate must be so easy for you. You haven't seen the thousands of hours of us sweating alone in the dojo, chi-shi, kata. And when you learn to love the grind, you can do anything in life.
If I can add to that, and whoever knows me from a kid will know I was terrible at karate. Like when I say terrible, my instructors and sub-instructors used to beat me up in hope that I didn't come back. So I was naughty, I was terrible, My mom's got a video of me as a brown belt. It's on VHS, and I hope she never puts it digital so people can find it. But if people see that, I'll have to kill them. And on YouTube, I'm sorry.
I'll never put it on YouTube.
But that it's so bad. And if I look at, for instance, like my students are that grade now, it's a completely different world. So tying in with what Jagger-sensei said, it is a progress. Nothing I said to that naughty guy then would have worked, because this guy's got way more sense, way more ability, and that guy was just trying to cause trouble. So he would have just gone, shut up, old man. So it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really lovely question.
Thank you, yeah.
One of I just saw a post from Matthew S. How's it, Matthew?
Hi, Matthew.
It must be the wee hours of the morning for you.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us.
And we see hello from Brazil. I've seen hello
Yeah.
from Nepal. That's a big. We're so proud to have people from all over the world to take the time to follow our little scrappy underdog channel.
Thank you, guys.
This question is super higher grade. I can't answer this.
Oh, I skip it too.
Okay.
If you try it.
Do you think that the Gekisai no Genri should be a basic guideline to read all katas of every ryuha? I've never heard about it outside Goju Ryu. I practice Matsubiyashi Ryu. Yo, Salvatore, I don't.
I've not heard of this.
No, we
Sorry.
haven't heard of this.
What specifically does it say? Do you think Gekisai no
Genri.
should be basically to read?
You may have to.
Yeah, elaborate.
You may have
We
to.
might have to
elaborate.
come back to you
Yeah.
on an answer.
That's super higher grade.
All right. I've not come across that, and I know that there are a couple of other.
There's William
seniors.
Young has just chipped in.
Yeah, so William Young and Matthew. Hopefully, if you know something about this,
Yeah.
please put something in the comments. Please.
Hi, Jade.
We were looking so clever until that guy
I know.
asked a question.
No, but thank you, Salvatore. Don't feel
We're
bad.
all going to learn from this.
Yeah,
we are all going to
to.
learn.
Yeah, and to learn, to teach us to learn twice.
Yeah.
So, that's
We've
the
got
thing.
homework.
We've got homework.
We've got homework. Great.
There's no more outstanding questions.
Alright.
It's been 45 minutes. I don't know if this is a good place to wait. We send our thanks too. I think that's a good place to end because there's only so long I think a video should go on before we start getting boring. But any
Yep.
final thoughts you want to add?
I just want to say congratulations on what you
Oh,
guys have
thank
done. Like really, and the numbers that show that I see here and versus the numbers that we end up seeing after it's been on for a while.
Yeah.
And the behind the scenes of people talking who don't comment, and I hear, and if you are talking to me, I'm talking to them so they know. It's magnificent what you're putting out there. Thank you.
We appreciate it. It's been hard. It's
Thank
lots of
you
fun.
too.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you to our fans. Our fans of it sounds a bit arrogant. Thank you to our karate friends. We actually
Our community.
our community because
community.
having the YouTube channel is actually one of the greatest joys for me. I love editing, and now I've got a little bit more time now that Hunter's going to school. It doesn't mean more videos every week. We can't commit to that.
Not yet.
Not yet. One day is one day. But to read your comments as they come in, it gives us great joy, and we are honored that we are reaching people all over the world and to be part of a greater. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of giants, all three of us, and if it hadn't been for our senseis sharing their knowledge so freely with us, I mean, my instructors in order, Sensei Clint and Sensei Buddy Governor at the same time, then Sensei Mary Jamison, Sensei Mario, and obviously Sensei Jagger. Without them, I wouldn't be here, and for that, I'm immensely grateful.
Anything else, Mix?
No, I'm
Videos.
I didn't even know I was going to be on here. I thought I'm on that side of the camera, by the
Oh,
way.
we roped you
I
in.
just got shot literally a minute before the timer. Huh?
Yeah, you're sitting here, we're going to talk. I think the most important thing that we'd like everybody to know is that there cannot be a continuation of the way people have done karate, where it's I'm right, you're wrong, you're right, and so on and so forth.
There can only be one true karate.
Those days are done. I think the most important thing now is to share what we can and to see how much crossover there is and to be open and to be receptive and to try and learn from one another. When people don't get this point and it's then too much ego because they have to be the boss all the time, it's kind of downheartening. However, I like being the boss, to be quite honest.
The bunkai.
I like thinking that I know a lot of bunkai, and every now and then I was superbly surprised today. And then there are a lot of people who, you know, I have a great rooting of teachers.
And your lineage is
and there are a lot of people who I'm super grateful to, all my senseis. Here in South Africa, in Japan, in Okinawa, Sensei Chinen in America, but to people that I've maybe met in passing, who I've been following their stuff, or people who freely put their information up on
like Sensei Paul Enfield,
Paul
Sensei
Enfield,
Abernethy.
Ian Abernethy, Matthew Clark. Yeah, I'm giving you another shout out, Matthew Clark.
Don Kane.
Yeah, Don Kane.
There's
Master Wong.
Master
I love
Wong.
Master Wong.
PJ from Down Under.
Yes, PJ Broomy. Sensei
Yo.
PJ, if you're watching, would be
Like,
nice.
Every time you put something on, I'm there.
The Invisible Sensei in New
Invisible
Zealand.
Sensei.
I have
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen, Les Bubka.
There's Bubka. What a champ.
Andres
Kost.
Sensei Kost, who
Yeah.
also shared our channel.
So-
The only time we went close to viral. 1,000 hits in one day. We were like, wow, we've made it. Sensei Angel, who let us be in Bubishi magazine, which is amazing.
Yeah, and then we've got like people who
The Geisha magazine.
we've kind of hooked up with, and a lot of those people, it's just amazing.
Rosenstock.
Arnold Rosenstock,
Arnold Rosenstock.
Sammy Owens, you know, and
Sensei Laura Chamberlain.
yep, Matthew.
Matthew S.
Yes, yep,
As
definitely William Young, most definitely, and my little bit of scratching to see who you are has revealed that I am in many cases your junior by such a long way, and I'm truly honored
No, we
that
do
we've created
Google,
a community.
We
Thank you.
Google a lot of our fans. We want to see who you are. And when we found out the other day that a big Sensei Terry, hi, big senseis are following us, I'm like, oh, for me, I have permanent imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm just a little third dan, only 16 years of karate. Why are these people when they comment under my videos? I'm like, wow, okay, so I'm not the screw up that I was told my entire deshi-ship. You are cuck. What is this? It's necessary.
By the way, for all the non-South Africans out there, KAK is our equivalent of SH1T.
You know how difficult, I probably have sworn on this, but you know how difficult it is not for me to swear. My first language is sailor, my second language is English. You see, I get it wrong.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
so
that's a
to
good
everybody
place
who's contributed in any way, guys or form, thank you very much. From the senseis of all of us, to the senseis who taught them,
And to the
great
judges.
shoulders that we've stood on, to everybody who's fitted in and joined in and helped us. Thanks, Migs.
Thanks, Migs.
By the way, he's the driving force behind getting this started a long time ago. That, I think we've got one more comment that just popped up.
I think
and
it's just Taka,
and-
it's MK popping up again. Why didn't it go to the computer?
Wait,
There we go. And a famous YouTuber comments on my channel. I'm like, why do I deserve it? And I'm so proud of you. I love it when our students are starting YouTube channels. I've got a hustle, selling t-shirts, making slime, making bath salts, and selling baking stuff to get to gymnastics in America.
Booyah,
The
good
kids
job.
these days, you make us so proud. You're way more sophisticated than we were. When I was 10, I was reading Nancy Drew, picking my nose.
You won't. You
I
don't.
think
You
karate.
don't do. You don't.
wasn't
You
being
don't
karate.
do what you want to do. You do what you need to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
And to our students, we adore you. Without you, we're just karate bums. That's all.
I'm still wearing work clothes, so yeah.
I think that's a good place
That's
to
it. Thank you very much.
Arigatou
everybody.
gozaimasu.
Arigatou.
See you soon.
Sayonara,
Take
everybody.
care. Where do we say good? I think it's the X there. Are you sure you want to stop streaming?
Yep.
Bye.